Hello guys. Let's see. We are waiting for okay. Hold on. We're gonna add Tom into here. Okay, Tom wants okay. Let's see. Approve. Okay. Waiting. Hold on guys, I'm still waiting. Break.
Hello.
Oh okay. This is good. Oh, I forgot my mic. I'm so used to this. Okay, so I totally forgot about
No
my
worries.
mic. Okay, let me. So this is Tom, you guys. I'm so excited for this interview. I think I'm excited for all these interviews. Okay, just because it's so good to learn from other people, and also I'm doing something, and also Tom is also volunteering to do this too, so that way we can help you guys, and at the same time you guys help us too. So, okay, so I'm gonna go and share this into my page before we
Okay.
start it. So if those of you who watch this later or watch the replay, we would appreciate very much if you guys can help us share this too. So that way other people who are who wants to be YouTube, who wants to do YouTube, or who already have a YouTube channel, they can learn from Tom as well. And it's also a great way for us to help Tom promote his channel too, so that way he can grow too. So that's why we're here, to learn from each other, and that's why we do these interview. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the YouTube. Okay. And just so you guys know, I won't be doing an interview next week, because it's gonna be my birthday. I need a break, just to spend time with my family. Um, Join me. Okay, so okay, again, Tom, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to get to know you, and also to come and help share your experience. So to start off, it would be great if you could tell us a little bit about
Okay.
yourself.
Well, hello to everyone watching. My name is Tom. Tom Vang. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/TomVangTV. I am located in Sacramento, California. I started my YouTube channel actually in August of 2016. So the current channel that I'm on right now is my second channel. Way back when in high school, I had an original channel very similar to G, but this channel was demonetized. This was my dancing channel, and pretty much during that time it was really nice. I wanted to be the cool kid in high school, so I learned how to dance, and I started posting up videos and whatnot. And then fast forward college, after college, life hit, gained a bunch of weight, and I realized that I still wanted to create content, and that was something that I really enjoyed. So fast forward till today, during that in between phase of college life and everything, there was a specific car that I've always wanted that I dubbed my dream car, and it's not even that expensive a vehicle. It's only a $30,000 car, but to me, I knew very well what that car entailed, and that car is like the best of both worlds. It's a performance vehicle. Like everyone wants their nice sporty car, but I also wanted a practical and reliable car, and that's why I dubbed it my dream car, because it encompassed a lot of things that I dreamt about. And at the time, I knew that there were other people who were also feeling the same way I did, and so that's essentially what kind of brought me to where I am today, with creating content on my car of my 2018 Subaru WRX, and also allowing me to become a Subaru ambassador, and also helping other people buy my dream car. And so that's pretty much where we're at today.
Honestly, when I watch his channel, I don't know what he's talking about. um, and I think if anyone who has that type of interest in it, I think it's so helpful to them, and that's why he was able to grow his channel, really fast within this year, and but within that 12 months, he's able to gain 1,000+ subscribers. So, um, okay, so let's see, can you back it up a little bit about why you start your channel again, and how did you actually grow that channel from the beginning, until
so
now?
kind of tying it back in with what I said earlier. So back on my first channel, when I was a lot skinnier and I was dancing, one of the coolest things was during the early days of YouTube, like being online was like something that was like unique, right? And so I just did YouTube videos just for fun to dance, and I remember going out to eat, and then there were kids like in middle school, and they would like kind of point at me and go, "Hey, is that Tom?" And they would come up to me and ask me like, "Hey, are you Tom? Are you the guy on YouTube?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they take pictures with me, and like that was one of the really cool fuzzy feelings about being a content creator, and that always stuck with me. And I knew that even though I no longer danced, I wanted to be a YouTube content creator. I wanted to be a vlogger. Like I wanted to be a persona or someone on YouTube where someone could go to, follow their journey, follow their story, and kind of relate with. And so that's what kind of led me on to this whole vehicle platform. So in the beginning, I was kind of wishy-washy on what I wanted to be. Like I said, I wanted to enrich the lives of others some way, somehow. And I didn't know what particular content yet. And then I started thinking about my life and what I really wanted. And at the time, I was like drooling over this stupid car, this 2018 Subaru WRX. And, after constantly thinking about it, I realized that there was a market there, that I watch a lot of people on YouTube, all these guys who spend tons of money to modify their vehicle. It's great to see all this crazy stuff, but you can't really relate with the person and the journey. And, I'm very sentimental in that regards. And so I've always kind of oriented it towards that. I wanted to relate with other people. And so then I started creating content for this car, like the ownership experience and feedback, because at this, right now, currently Subarus are very, very popular on the road. And, that's a direct result of the popularity, the rise in popularity. And in a way, I kind of I kind of rode upon that wave of success. And there was a lot of people who were on the same boat. They were like, Tom, you're very genuine because you create content that not a lot of other content creators talk about. People talk about what they're doing to their car, but they don't talk about their journey to even get to that car. And so that was my niche. And during that time of creating my YouTube channel, like I said, I kind of rode the wave. I never really pinged like keywords or like key events and stuff like that. I kind of just did a lot of how-tos and focused more on the content itself, because like with YouTube, how I see it is there's tons of content out there, and there's a lot of people who are looking on YouTube for an answer. And so it's very easy to go on YouTube and just create a channel, and you just start talking about your day, talking about your family, doing this and doing that, and it's great, but it's going to be very difficult for you to find people to follow you. And so what I've learned through trial and error is that you create a solution for or an answer for things that people are looking for. So for example, one of the videos that I was able to jump from and to grow was how to buy a Subaru WRX under MSRP. Not a lot of people talk about buying a car, learning how to haggle them for a good deal and such. And so I talk a lot about finances on my channel. Even though I'm a car channel, I talk about finances. I tell these kids that if you don't have the money to afford a brand new car, don't buy it yet. I know the glamour of having a brand new vehicle is very, very enticing, but it's okay to wait. And, since I'm 28 now, I'm turning 28, I waited 3 long years, and it was a good learning experience for me to learn how to finance and whatnot. And so I share that with people. And so when I bought my car, I was sitting at around 300 subscribers. And to be honest, I don't really market my channel. I only post it on my Facebook, and I offer a service. So I allow people to email me directly to ask for help. Like, hey, Tom, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Or, hey, this is my financial situation. I really want this vehicle, and I'm excited to own one day, just based off of the content you've created. How can you help me get there? So I offer my services for free, and I allow people to directly email me. And I think that's what largely contributed to my growth. And so currently today I am sitting at 1,920 subscribers, and I'm averaging a growth of anywhere from 5 to 10 subscribers per day. And so I think that's largely due in part to me focusing on a target audience that has never been tapped before. And I'm focusing specifically on what I enjoy, which is this vehicle platform, the Subaru platform. So I know a lot about Subarus, and I advocate that. And that's why, audience isn't for everyone. It's only for those who are across my channel. They can rely on me as an expert or a specialist in this subject matter.
Yeah, I think that's what made you so unique, because as I create my content myself, I'm still figuring out of like what's my audience looking for. And so being able to hear you talk about that's your niche, and you'll be able to provide that solution to them, and also personally put it out there on your Facebook page that you can provide this for them. And I think that's one key that personally me will like to adapt onto my technique of how I can grow my channel too. So okay, and actually that leads to some of my questions later on about how do you market. Since you touched base on that already, can you also elaborate more on it? Is that going to be your only marketplace right now, promote yourself, or do you plan to promote yourself in other areas too? For example, like Twitter, Instagram, and other social media platforms?
Yeah, so I have those all reserved. I don't use it as actively as I do YouTube. The reason being is most of us have a normal job, and then YouTube is more like a secondary job. So if it was the other way around, if it was where YouTube was my primary source of income, then I would focus heavily on everything. So anywhere from a website to a anything that I could allow myself to be outsourced to other people so that they could kind of catch wind of who I am. But right now I don't really have a direction. Currently my YouTube channel is more for my entertainment. Like it's something for me to talk to and kind of just share my hobby and my enthusiasm. So right now it's just my hobby, and I'm getting compensated for it just a little bit. But I think over time, once it grows a lot more, then the direction will definitely shift. The one thing that I want to stay true to is not to focus on the money. I want to focus more on the content itself and the journey, because that's what because I mirror a lot of other successful YouTube channels. I don't copy them verbatim, but I look at things that I like that they do, and I look at things that they don't like, and I kind of implement that. And I have, like I said, I have my own specific niche and specific audience. And I've thought about making my content quality significantly better. I've thought about doing like extravagant introductions and like cinematic sequences and whatnot, but it takes away from the content itself. And so and I realize that, and I've asked my subscribers, I'm like, hey, what do you guys want out of me? I want that open interaction with them, and many of them they just tell me to stay the same, to just continue creating content. And sometimes I know that my content is kind of dry or very opinionated, but it's a formula that's currently working, and I'll continue to utilize that until maybe the times change again, and I'll shift my my style accordingly. So right now, in terms of advertising, it's really through word of mouth. I think that's the key number one, because I have a lot of people directly sharing my content to other people, because I allow them to. I say, hey, look, if you know of anyone else who's interested in purchasing this Subaru platform, just send them my email or send them my channel link and have them watch a few videos. And if they need help, they could reach out to me. So in a way, I kind of mirror life coaching channels, because the difference between me and them is I focus more on cars, but life coaching channels, they talk about like circumstances, situations, and talk about your mental state, mental process and everything, but they make it very short, and then they kind of segue you to the product, just to say, hey, this is my product. If you guys want to support me, please donate here or please purchase my product. But I kind of switch it around to where I offer everything up front, so that way it doesn't feel like a sales pitch. They could actually connect with me personally. And so once they get that buy-in, they're like, Tom is very genuine. I get that one-on-one interaction with him. Then they'll continue to support my channel. So right now, the only missing element that I feel on my channel that I'm missing is having a page to sell products. And that's kind of where I'm on the fence right now. If I have a store, I would market it and say, hey, like now that you're here, if you're interested, if you want to support my channel, here are what I have to offer and stuff like that. So that's the only missing element that I have, just because I don't have anything like planned out just yet. I don't know where I want to go in terms of being a business owner. So.
And that is very true when it comes to as content creator, that we experiment out there, and then we learn from, okay, what's good and what's not. It's like a continuous journey of experimenting, right? Yeah. So, okay. We're gonna shift a little bit to the equipments that you use to do your YouTube channel, guys. Because Tom is like, he's already ahead of me in some of the questions that I want to ask
sorry,
him.
I didn't mean to.
So I'm no, it's fine. So we're gonna be all over the map, but hopefully you guys can grab onto all the things that we're gonna be talking, because he is sharing something like. There's something so unique about his channel that, to me, I find it mysterious and very drawing, because I have no interest in car, okay? And I don't want to learn about it because there's so many things about it, but I'm drawn into it of why he has followers, So that's what's the mystery that really intrigued to me. So, okay, so let's go back to the equipment. What kind of equipment did you use to do your video, from the beginning until now? So that way, if let's say someone who's new, who has questions for you about it, so if you could share that with us.
So when I first started, I thought I needed like all these like really fancy equipment and stuff. So I did the dumbest thing ever, and I went and I bought myself a DSLR camera, one of those big heavy ones, because I've always wanted a DSLR camera, and it looked really, really nice and fancy. And I've seen like vloggers where they're walking around with this really big, nice, fancy camera. I'm like, I want to be just like them. And I realized that that wasn't for me. So I had a Nikon D3400. It was an $800 camera, but I bought it on through a Black Friday deal for $400. And then I realized that that wasn't good enough for me, because that one specifically didn't have a mic, and I realized I wanted to be a vlogger. So it really depends on what you're looking for. For me, because with my current channel, I do a lot of point and shoot. So I don't, even though I would like to have really expensive equipment, I don't have the money for that. And so I looked at, I sold that camera off, and I bought myself a Canon G7X. So it's a digital camera. It's this little digital camera here. And this thing is $500. And the best thing about this is that it autofocuses. So the problem with my DSLR camera was it couldn't flip the screen backwards like this. And also it needed a mic. So I needed to buy an external mic and have it attached, which was very clunky and in the way. And I also had to automatically focus it all the time, because if I get out of focus, my content would become very blurry. But the good thing about the digital camera here is that it's very lightweight, so I could walk around, and I could, store it in my backpack. and it autofocuses for me. And so if I had known, if I have done research ahead of time, I would have purchased this from the get-go, because this has saved me a lot more headache and time. And so like you, I also use, I used to use Movie Maker, but now I'm on a new laptop, and I think it's like Windows 10. It's like the latest edition. So, but I don't use any type of filtering or anything like that. All of my quality is all just based off of this camera alone. And so if you want to be a vlogger, or if you want to start off strong, this is a really good $500 investment. But if you don't have the $500 for this yet, then I know that there's a lot of other people who also use their smartphones. So I'm just not too savvy with smartphones, because I don't know how to use Apple products very well. I have an iPhone 8, but my computer is an HP laptop, so it doesn't really translate very well. So that's why I specifically use that, so that I could transfer my my video content onto my HP laptop, because I'm more familiar using that and editing it that way. And I do a lot of simple editing and transitions only. I don't use a lot of like extravagant stuff.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes it is easier just to go the simple way.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as you YouTuber, we thought that, okay, I had to have the perfect camera, you know, the perfect mic and so on, but it's just narrowed down to what works best for what you're doing. You know, you use the term vlogger earlier. When I start out, I don't know what that is. So can you elaborate a little bit on that, in case somebody might be interested in what you mean by that?
Vlogger, or video logger, it stemmed from blogging. So if you're not familiar with what blogging is, there was a time before YouTube where people actually went onto the forums. So you created a login, you logged in, and there's threads and stuff, and that kind of segued into people having their own websites and blogs. And so it's kind of like at Facebook that's not Facebook, where like people talk about their day, or like, hey, I went to this restaurant, this is how I feel about it. That's what a blog is. But then that translated into a video log, where it branched off to all of these genres that we know of today, from food channels to travel to cars to makeup tutorials. That could be anything, could be essentially be a vlog. It's just like you could do a stationary vlog where you and I are talking like this and I'm talking about my day, or I could be walking around, or like, hey, I'm going to Hawaii, and then you show like clips here, 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 here. So anything could essentially be translated to a vlog, but the general usage of the word vlogger is just you're a video content creator. You may be traveling about here and there. You may be touching on a lot of subjects here and there. So let's say like your channel's primarily centered around jewelry, and then you get to visit all of these iconic like jewelry museums, stores, or something like that, but then you kind of throw some stuff in between, like your personality, like, oh my God, I've always wanted to go to this restaurant, or something like that. So that's just the whole idea of vlogging, is that, you kind of put a little bit of your personality and opinions into like the content itself. So to make it a little bit more human, versus it being very, very technical and too much, detail and such.
Okay, sounds good. So I saw a question, and I think this is related to what we're talking about too. So I'm gonna let you answer this question. Are you able to see the question?
Let's see here. I think I might have to tilt my phone. Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. I will just read you the question, because we like to see you that way.
Worries.
Yeah. Okay, so the question is from Jata. Hey Jata, thanks for joining us tonight. He asked, what software did you use on PC? I think you might answer this earlier, but if you can share that again,
yeah.
that'd
So
be great.
I used to use Movie Maker, but now I have the latest edition, which is called HD Movie Maker Pro. So from my understanding, they don't have Movie Maker anymore. The Windows Movie Maker, the easy one that we used to have, where like you could see the timeline and everything, and you could just drag and drop and cut. Now it's a little bit more intricate. So currently I'm using HD Movie Maker.
Okay, so and you guys, some of the questions that you asked, if it's fit for us to answer at the end, we'll answer at the end. But if it, if it's right with what we're talking about right now, we will answer that. So, okay, thank you for those information. Those are very useful. Oh, what about your viewers? You mentioned a little bit about, your viewers earlier. But can you tell us a little bit about your viewer, maybe like where they're from, age group, if you're able to tell that, and also how do you know that,
Yeah, of course. So the YouTube has a statistics tab where you can kind of look at the age group and the dynamics of the people who watch your channel. But just based off of experience, because I know the car that I own very well, this car is very, very popular amongst the younger crowd. So from 14 to 16 to about early 30s. So those are most of the owners who own my vehicle too, because it's very, very popular. And so I noticed that over time, my percentage shifted, because I used to have about like 70% male and 30% female, but over time as my channel grew, it became 100% male and like point something percent female. So I used to think that my videos are being watched by everyone and everyone's gonna like it, but it's not like that. I know that my channel is for a specific audience. I know that the language that I use is for the people who know exactly what I'm talking about. So and I always kind of leave it open to them too, like, hey, if you have a question that you don't know, or if you have something that you're not familiar with that I'm talking about, you can email me or you can message me directly and I'll clarify things for you. I always kind of touch bases upon that. And like I said, because I know this car audience very well, I know that majority of the people who are watching my channel are people who want to buy the car. And so that means that most of them are, right around the time of graduating high school into early college. Some of them may have parents to help them buy their first car. Some of them may be working really hard to get their next car. And then when you look at and you read the brochure of the car I have, the 2018 Subaru WRX, it checks out. Like, you want a fast and 40 car that has good insurance, that has 4 doors, that is practical. You could put a roof rack on it. You could fold down the seats. Yeah, it has an abundance of parts. It's very easy to maintain. And there's an abundance of, and the other funny thing about this car culture too is when you're driving on the road and you see someone else with a Subaru and they'll give you a peace sign. That's called the Subaru wave. And that's something that I've touched about in my content too. Like, this is one of the dumbest things ever, is that I bought this car. 50% of it is to get that excitement, because it's like, I've driven tons of cars, but I've never felt good about it until I've been in this car. And when you're driving around, you see another person with the same car as you, and they give you a wave, and you give them a wave back. And then, like, my girlfriend's like, "Do you know them?" I'm like, "Nope." Like, it's one of the best pat on your back, like to reassure you that I made the right decision. Like, even though this car is kind of geeky, kind of expensive, that it made me feel good that I'm a part of a bigger culture. And so, like, many of these kids, they have that in mind. They're like, "Man, I can't wait to be like Tom. I can't wait to get this car too." And so they would talk to me about finances. I'm like, "Hey, look, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but all these YouTubers, they have money, and we can't relate with that as normal people because we're hardworking people. So it took me 3 years to get this car. And to you, it might have seemed like, oh, you just came onto my channel. You're like, wow, Tom is so lucky he got his car. But you don't know the struggle I went through. So I want to share with you that journey." And then I kind of coach them through their financial stuff. So I focus a lot on the younger kids. And that's what kind of draws them in, is that they have someone who's online who will help them prepare to be financially ready to buy that car.
Wow. Okay, as I listen to you more, I'm starting to understand why people like subscribe to your channel, and also why their engagement. I think some of the experts on YouTube talk about engagement onto your video, and it could help like push your video to be more visible to the community, or to be recommended. What are your thoughts on that? like engagement? How do you create engagement, and what's the benefits of engagement
Yeah,
and
for
not?
me, I only use the email engagement, and I respond. I make it right now because my channel is still relatively small. I make it a mission to respond back to everyone, even the negative comments where people say, "Tom, you suck," or "Tom, you don't know what the heck you're talking about." I would like it and say, I appreciate your viewership and your time. Even though we may not agree, I just want to personally thank you. Like I always take the time out to reach and respond to everyone. And I've had a few people who didn't like me, didn't like my video, but subscribed because they said I was a very genuine person. But back to what you said, there's tons of avenues where you could go about sharing your content. I had this idea in mind a while ago that I was talking with G and Lang about, that I think it'd be very, very beneficial to have a Hmong like podcast, or like a Hmong group channel, like a gaming channel, like where you could do skits, Hmong skits. You could do like games, just fun stuff, just like a party channel. But so that way you get people to know who you are, because the one of the challenges as a content creator is sometimes you become kind of dry, and you kind of hit this moment where you don't know what you should talk about, and you kind of feel disengaged with your audience, because you're like, okay, I know what I want to talk about, but I don't know if my audience wants to hear it. So I think that like by having like a big fun channel, like a group channel, where you're like, hey, this is Hmong the Hmong podcast channel. Let's say like there's 5 or 6 hosts on it, and each of us have a very funny personality, and each is like, some of us don't get along. I think like having people tune into that, and over time getting to know like, oh, Tom doesn't like Lang because Lang upsets Tom whenever he talks about this. Like, like then people start to know the personalities of each person. And then you say, hey, so if you guys want to know more about car stuff, we all hate car stuff, but if you guys like car stuff, go to Tom's channel. Or if you like this, you could go to that person's channel. But then that way you could kind of take away that like more direct like engagement, where people get to know you more on a personal basis, and that will kind of bleed into your content, versus it being very, very dry. And it's always like, okay, guys, today I'm going to talk to you about this, this, and this, and this, so.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's a great idea. I'm just thinking if you want to test it on the Hmong YouTuber group.
Well, the challenge is I don't have a lot of I don't have well here in Sacramento I don't have that many Hmong YouTuber friends. So I don't know if I could connect with that, but like I think that'd be a good venue. Like I noticed that there was a lot of people in Fresno. I know Lang is from Fresno too. So I was like, they could start off the thing, and like I could go and visit or something like that. But
or maybe like this special occasion, let's say like the Hmong New Year, you guys could create like a big event once, or I don't know. That's why we do this, okay? So that way you guys get to know each other more on the Hmong YouTuber group. And if you guys want to connect and collaborate with each other, you're to do like a special, just like special video once in a while. Because that's what I do in my channel too. Once in a while, I will do like a feature video. Like so that way I don't lose track all the way on what I'm doing. So yeah, you never know until you try it. You test it out, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, and then so we have some question from Jato, and let's see. His first question was, what got you both into YouTube? This because tonight is Tom's night. He can talk about that. Sometime in the future, I might, maybe somebody might do an interview on me. Okay, we'll get to mine. But yes, Tom mentioned a little bit about that. Did you want to elaborate a little bit on that? And Ja, you can watch from the beginning too. Go and watch a replay, and he did talk a little bit about that too. So if you want, mention briefly, that would be great.
So
what got you into YouTube?
So just to summarize, I've always wanted to be someone known for something. So like I kind of always wanted to leave behind a legacy. And so like it would be great. Like another thing to tie into this too is like I know that we, us Hmong folks, we're underrepresented on YouTube. And so I've always wanted to be able to say, like, when you type in like Hmong YouTuber or something, you know, in that regards, you could, like, my name will pop up. Like, I want to be able to be remembered for like trying something new and enriching the lives of other people, whether it be our own people, to motivate them to, you know, create their own YouTube channel, or to just help people genuinely. So, and kind of tying that back with my dancing channel days, where it kind of felt good when strangers come up to you and say, "Oh man, you're Tom. Like, can I get a picture with you?" Or like, "Dude, like, thank you." You know, like, that makes me feel good about, you know, the things that I do.
Okay. You know, since you touched base on that, I'm gonna mention that too. Okay, guys. Yes, one of the reasons that I start my YouTube channel, there's many reasons, but that is one of the reasons too, is this underrepresented of Hmong people on YouTube. So I want to be able to bring a Hmong family into the YouTube community as well. Okay, and Ja Jataher also asked a really good question too. He asked, do you find it hard to get support from the Hmong people?
Yeah. So I don't want to be negative, but I feel like within our community, Hmong people are easier. It's easier for them to bash on you than to compliment or support you. And in the beginning of my early YouTube days, I speak in English because I'm choosing. The reason why I use English is because it casts a larger net. Because if I speak specifically only in Hmong, I'm only targeting Hmong people, and who knows how many Hmong people there are that actually like cars, right? So if it's something like storytelling, like that, then yeah, that's a little bit broader. But I had that in mind, and one of the challenges I had in my early days is that I had a lot of Hmong people come on and say, if you know, Tom, ko yung Hmong, you know, you're Hmong, speak Hmong. Why are you speaking English? And I would always remind them that, you know, yes, I am Hmong, but I am a content creator. I am a content creator who is Hmong. I am not a Hmong content creator. So there's a difference between that. If I'm a Hmong content creator, everything will be exclusively in Hmong, and but you know, that's its own general audience. So I just happen, like I said, now I have a niche and I have a specific audience that I'm targeting now, and so I know that I'm Hmong, and you know, but I'm creating content for the masses. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. Okay, and Ja also asked, I got my Jonathan Her via YouTube. Any comment on that?
I don't know who that is.
Okay, yes. Sorry, I don't know what you're referring to. And then Lane just came in. He say, I'm a bit late. It's okay, Lane. Um, you know, and then Lane also say, I listened to this while working out. Keep going. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Actually, you know, since Lane is here and you're here, guys, Lane is the other. So it was G, Lane, and Tom that created this group. Okay, so I haven't asked Tom about this. Hopefully, we're able to. Interview Lane too, so that way he get. Oh, and G is here too. I think he meant was his YouTube channel. Oh, okay. Thanks, G, for clarifying that. So I'm so glad all three of you guys on here all together. Okay, so I'm so happy to meet all of you guys at the same time, even though I haven't seen Lane yet. But Tom, can you also go back and think about, you know, when you guys create this group? Let's see. Yeah, so can you talk a little bit about that? Why you guys create this group? And
Yeah,
so on.
so G's just being very humble, but this is actually all his idea. He gave me credit, but I told him I didn't really, you know, need the credit. In the we met a long time ago, but when G and I first started talking, we were on this other Hmong page, and it was dead. Like it had tons of members, but it was just full of people kept posting their channel. You know, like they post links to their YouTube channel and stuff like that, and it was dead. And we were like, we talked about wanting to create an active live forum where like people who want to create their own content come onto it. We give them advice and stuff like that. And at the time, we were nothing. Like we had like G had I think his main channel at the time, but he had a ton of more subscribers than I did. And so in the beginning, it was just the three of us. And I think Hmong was the other one, the fourth one. But there was like in total less than 10 of us. And we just kept bouncing ideas. We talked about how we wanted this channel, this page to be, and kind of just bouncing ideas back and forth. And then we just, all I ever did was, in terms of contributing to the page, was to invite other people. Like whenever I saw other Hmong people who are either a business person or who's running, you know, for this or for that, or who stood out to me, I sent them an invitation and allowed them to be a part of the group and to help them grow the purpose of this group. But like I said, most of it is all G. He's the one who's, you know, the backbone of this forum.
Yeah, that's how I feel when I met him, and I started communicating with him. He was a very humble person. So, and somebody mentioned that he's like the famous G or something. I was like, really? He's famous? I don't know that, because he doesn't really like to talk about himself. So I think he may be bigger than what I know he is. So, and that's another thing too, is that when with this group, when I came in, he was being so helpful, commenting on almost everything that I post, you know, so I feel really helpful. So that's why I feel like I want to give something to this group. And that's why, you know, these interviews are happening now. So and there's more exciting interview in the future too. So hopefully you guys can come and join us more. Okay. Okay, there's a lot of comments. I think right now I'm gonna ignore the comments, okay? Because they're really good comments, but they're kind of like taking us off of the focus of these. So we will come back for those, okay? So don't worry. And if I forget to come back to it, I apologize. We will, you know, we will respond to you. Tom will respond to it too. If he finds that you know, the comments is something that he can respond, he will respond, and I will respond it too. But right now we're gonna move on with the show. Okay. So okay. Monetize. Okay, you are able to monetize. When did you start being able to monetize? From the time you start with your channel to the time that you're able to monetize, and tell us a little bit about that.
The algorithm changed right around the time I just was able to monetize. So when I was able to be monetized, I needed a minimum of 100 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and I needed, I think, like 4,000 to 6,000 watch hours or something like that. And so what happens is, once you meet that eligibility, you apply to YouTube, and then someone personally reviews your channel to see if you know, you have like controversial stuff, or if you curse and whatnot. And so they review everything, and they determine a category for you to find a partnership. So for me, because I focus my content primarily on vehicles, and a lot of the stuff I talk about is, you know, about Subaru. I received a partnership from aftermarket part companies. So they're the ones that are throwing more of their ads onto my YouTube channel. Earlier on YouTube, I talked to G a lot. G is a lot more knowledgeable in terms of like the overall endorsement and whatnot, because he also utilizes Amazon affiliate programs and other programs. I don't use that just because I find it kind of complicated, and I'm fearful of doing my taxes wrong. So right now I want to keep it manageable. So I have my primary job, and then I have my YouTube side revenue. And so how I see it is, my YouTube money will eventually be the money that I use to buy do like product reviews and do giveaways. So that way it doesn't touch my budget.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So text purposes.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question is, Hannah, are you able to see? Are you able to hear those knocking
Yeah.
from my side? You're able to hear the
Yeah, I
knocking?
can hear.
Okay, hold on. Those are my kids, you
It's okay.
guys. Okay, I'm a mommy with 3 kids who needs my attention right now. So I'm gonna go take care of my kids.
I I can
Let's see.
I can
I'm
talk
gonna
and keep them entertained for a second if you want.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much. That's what we're here for, guys. Okay, because in the future, I will need somebody to help do interview too, because there's gonna be time where I won't be able to do it. So yes, go ahead, keep them entertained. I will be right
Okay.
back.
So guys, just fun fact. My name is Tom Vang, located here in Sacramento, California, turning 28 in a few days. Fun fact. I have a lot of people always asking me, when am I going to get married? And I've seen a lot of my siblings get married very early on, and I'm one of the few Hmong people left who don't get married early. And people are constantly always asking me, but I don't feel pressured to get married ASAP. You know, I feel like the culture of getting married early is dying. But I don't know, just kind of talking. So if you guys have questions, feel free to comment down below, or if you guys want, you guys can message me on Facebook, or you guys can email me at TomVangTV@gmail.com. Or you guys just type in Tom Vang anywhere and you guys will see me. All right, she's back.
Thank you. Okay, Hmong are afraid to date and marry outside their ethnicity. Why do you think? Okay, totally off topic. Um.
Oh, I just dropped a
Okay,
fun
guys.
fact, that's all.
Okay, so okay, well, I will have to go back and rewatch what you guys just talked about. But anyways, okay, the challenge. Okay, I think you might talk a little bit about this, but if you can narrow it down to maybe like 1 or 2 challenge that you have as a content creator, what's the challenge, and then what's the motivation?
The biggest challenge is writer's block. And like I have a book where I write down all my ideas and I write down questions. Like I write down questions where I used to have as an audience. I try to portray myself as my audience member. Okay, like what do you want out of yourself, Tom? And so I always ask questions like that. So how do I do this on my car? How do I do this on the or do that? And so I have all this stuff written in my little book, and I have like a timeline of what I want to produce out too, but it always kind of changes. And for me, it's always kind of on a whim. Like if I kind of see a bunch of people commenting and asking about this specific topic, then I'll kind of cater it to that content, and I'll kind of throw a few of my questions in there, answers into that, and kind of like create a content that way. But really what motivates me being a content creator, creating my channel, is just the thank yous. Last year, from March until December, I was able to help in total about 32 people buy their own brand new vehicle. So it wasn't all just Subarus, it was other vehicles too. But they said that, hey, Tom, like I learned a lot from you, and you know, with the direct one-on-one coaching that you gave me via email, I was able to approach the dealership. I was able to haggle them. I was able to walk away with a car at a reasonable price that was within my budget. I didn't pay $1 more, and it's all thanks to you and your direct line of help. And so that's what really just motivates me. When I think back to my humble beginnings, I always kind of remember that, like, at one point when I started my YouTube channel, I had 0 subscribers, and I was a nobody. And I was constantly thinking that I'm a nobody. Why would someone want to watch my content? Why would they want to follow my journey? And I kind of always think back to that. And I remind myself that, where I am at now, to continue to stay humble, because there's a lot of people on YouTube who over time they lose their way because they start following the money. And you know, I know that money is pretty much the end game that many of us want to pursue, but I try to keep it genuine, and so that way people can still continue to relate with me.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Say hi. This is my baby boy. Okay, he's a little shy. Okay, we have like 10 minutes left. I know you couldn't read the comments because I'm like, some of these comments, it'd be good for you to respond to them. But hold on. Okay. I want to ask a question about the money, but I think that question I need to focus. I can't
No
focus
worries.
in this here. So I will be back on that. So try to entertain them again for one more minute. Thank
Okay.
you.
So guys, in terms of making money off of YouTube, I have a little bit under 2,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. I make about $100 to $150 a month, which is nothing right now. My goal is to make as much money as possible, but my average views per video right now is like 500 to 1,000. And so just to kind of give you guys some perspective on what type of money you're going to make, you're not going to be making much in the beginning. Like I think once you start hitting like the 10K threshold, or if you have like videos where you're pulling in, you know, 50K plus viewers, then you'll start making a little bit better money. But the money is inconsistent. So if I was to project it throughout the year, I'd be making about a little over $1,000 pre-tax. So another thing too, guys, if you're new to self-employment and you're new to like earning money, like say YouTube revenue, keep in mind that you guys are going to have to pay for taxes. So use the general guideline of like saving money for tax purposes, because you're not going to be able to keep all of it. You're only going to be able to keep some of that.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. Okay, so I really want to ask you the question, and if you are able to answer, great. If you feel comfortable, answer, great. If not, we respect that. But go back to the monetized part. How much did you make? Okay, because that's what everyone always wants to know.
I just answered it while you were gone. While you were gone, I was telling them about that. So
okay.
like I said, just to.
Oh, okay. Then.
So just a quick repeat. I have a little bit under 2,000 subscribers. I make about $100 to $150 per month right now. And my advice to people is, if this is your first time ever making any type of self-employment, you know, revenue, to save a percentage of that for taxes, because you're going to have to pay taxes on it.
For tax. Cool. And that's what he's concerned of, you know, paying tax. So that's a really good strategy. But you guys don't worry too much about tax. You know, the more tax you pay, that means the more money you make. Okay, so don't worry about that. So how about going forward in the future? What are other ways that you think you can bring in revenue into your channel? I know that you mentioned briefly about, you know, you don't want to focus too much on the money. You want to focus on the content and what you can bring to your audience. But in the back of your mind, do you think about, okay, yes, that's true too, but you know, I have to make a living too if I want to do this in the full time. You know, are you thinking about like any sponsorship in the future? Affiliation, because you talked about earlier, you know, with the tax complication, but is that something you want to jump into also, or what's your thinking on that?
Primarily, it's sponsorship. Like with my community and my niche, the grand prize, right, is to be able to be sponsored by a big name company, and for them to send you free parts to review, or like early on. But that's like the unicorn. But the other thing I thought about is, you know, the affiliate programs, or eventually having my own inventory of stuff that I could sell. I thought about doing the whole PayPal and asking people to donate, and also like Patreon and stuff, but I feel like that's a little overplayed now, because everyone on YouTube is kind of asking for money. And so I know that there's a need for that, but I also want to provide a service that they could justify. Like, there's always good people who are willing to support you financially, but I also want them to get back something. So the problem with me with the store idea, with having my own line, like, Tom Vang LLC line, like stuff, is there's too many people doing the same stuff, from like bracelets to t-shirts and stuff like that. So I'm still kind of thinking about stuff that's going to be unique, that's going to be there for the long term, like longevity, because like t-shirts, bracelets, little trinkets, little keychains and stuff will die out really quickly like fads do. But if I could create a product that I know will stick for the long run, that people will remember me by, like, oh man, I know exactly where you got that from. Like, that's where I'm still kind of thinking. And if I could find a partnership with a company who's willing to sponsor or, endorse me, or like even be a partnership, then that's pretty much my end game is. Like, I eventually want to like have my own company, my own warehouse pertaining specifically to cars and stuff, and like be local here in Sacramento.
Okay. Thinking back, I don't know if you thought about this, but thinking back about like how your audience were reaching out to you and asking you questions both on YouTube as well as Facebook, I was thinking you'd be a really good consultant.
Yeah, no, that's
that would be.
I kind of thought about that too. I share a lot of life experiences because, like, my life is kind of tragic. It's kind of played out now. I don't talk about it as much anymore, but for me, I value that personal relationship, and I think that's why it's very reflective in my content, is that I want people to know that when I'm talking to you on screen here and people are watching it, they know that I'm talking to them. I'm not just talking about just cause, I'm not that, like, to me, I'm staring at a screen. It's very uncomfortable, but to them, it feels like I'm actually talking to them one-on-one, So that's what I kind of want them to get out of my content, is that I want them to have that personal interaction, so that way one day when they actually meet me in person, they already know who I am. They could just come up and say hi to me, and I'm still the same old person.
Sounds good. Okay. So I'm gonna this is my last question, and then we'll go into the we'll go into some of the
Okay.
comments. So any last words or recommendation to our audience today?
If you have more questions, don't feel free to contact me directly. But if you are on the fence about creating your own content, or if you don't know what you want to create yet, I say just do it, and just think about you being unique. Think about what you want as the end game and work backwards. So like for me, I just wanted to be someone that other people could relate with and they could turn to, like, for an answer. And that kind of eventually led to me and the whole car stuff. I recommend being unique. To this day, I'm still nervous about having my full name on YouTube, but I know that allowed me to stand out because, like the whole TomVangTV was just a pun, because I used to joke around, like, I'm Tom Vang, the TV you should be watching. And then I was like, that's corny as heck, but actually that's going to catch on. So I decided to use it. And, sure enough, it launched and my channel is doing pretty well. So, for those of you guys, if you have an idea that you think isn't going to work, it doesn't hurt to try. And your worst enemy is yourself. In the beginning of my content creating days, I had all the negative people come onto my channel and like bash me and say, Tom, you suck, or Tom this, Tom that, you're wasting everyone's life, you should go and die, and I used to take it to heart, and I felt like crap. Like, what's the point of me creating this stupid content? People are like, they're just going to come and bash on it. But I'm like, you know what? There was a YouTuber I met, and she told me that focus on providing an answer and focus on one person at a time. And that's the philosophy that I've been following, is that I know that I'm not going to win everyone. I know that I'm not going to go from, a few thousand to like 1 million or 2 subscribers overnight. It's going to take time. And as long as every day I get one new person onto my channel and they subscribe and they say thank you, that means more. And so if you guys focus on the small victories like that, over time you'll grow.
Sounds good. Those are very good advice, guys. So I'm gonna go back to all the comments and some question I think that we might have
Okay.
missed. Um, let's see. Sorry, guys, I had to go back a little bit. Totally agree with what you said. Okay. Let's see. I listened to what working on. Keep going. Okay. So Lane, I think Lane is still listening from because he's working out right now, so he's listening to us. Jata her did say disregard what he wrote earlier. G said he meant, G clarified that maybe Jata was talking about his channel. So let's see. Oh, Jata has another a question. He said, do you feel like you had to move away from Hmong people, be successful in a way on YouTube? Do you feel like that you had to move away from the Hmong community or Hmong people to be successful?
Yes. So you can kind of see it this way. You move away from them, and then you come back, you loop back. So like for me, when I first started, I'm a Hmong YouTube content creator, and I created for the masses. But eventually, over time, the smart thing to do, I think, what I find successful is, back to the whole answer thing. So if you create content that's providing an answer to something that people are looking for, throw a little bit of your personality into your content so it's not so dry. And so that way you start beginning to establish that personal connection with people, and people start liking you for who you are. So eventually over time, you could create a video about nonsense, and people will just watch it because they like you and they wanted to hear what you think about it, versus actually providing a real factual answer. And so I think that helps with the whole Hmong approach. We're Hmong, but we don't have to be confined to the label of being a Hmong content creator. I think it'd be great to be successful as a specifically only Hmong content creator, but the challenge with that is that we have this cultural divide in our community where you have many of the older folks who may not be as tech savvy, or they may not agree with some of what we say, versus the younger folks who may not necessarily agree or may not really relate with the challenges, the upbringing that we've gone through. So really it's the audience, what type of I think it's more focused on the content. You could throw a little bit of Hmong into your content. You don't necessarily have to be just specifically Hmong content itself. It could be just bring a little bit of yourself and your cultural background and your own story into it. I feel like that might be a little bit more successful.
Okay. And then let's see. G was just mentioned that you give him too much credit about him creating he's the backbone of this Hmong YouTuber group. So G, we have to give you the credit too. Honestly, you work so hard, just moderating this group and making us just being helpful and contributing so much. And maybe that's why we're still here. Okay. Lane say Hmong men are afraid to date and marry outside the ethnicity. Why do you think that is? Shall we just say that would be a question that maybe Tom will message you directly?
Yeah.
Okay. Jata her, because it's hard to find a nice girl without the culture issue. Okay. I will thanks for that comment. Jata her is one of the oldest half Hmong kids in the US, maybe within the first 5. Okay, thanks for that comment too. Rare marriage that did work. Okay. I heard that few. Okay, these are just comments. I'm gonna skip all these. What? Okay, last one. I think this is the last one. Thank you guys for all these comments. Just so you know, the more comments you guys put on here, whatever you say on this video, the more we're gonna be visible. So it's okay if you make an irrelevant comment.
It was my fault
too. Okay, that is the algorithm for Facebook. Okay, so I'm learning how to I mean, it's funny, but at the same time, this could be a lesson too for all of us. I'm learning how to navigate both Facebook and also YouTube algorithm. That is something that we don't really talk. Maybe we can talk more in the future about the algorithm because that is so important too. If you want to be successful with both, you know, in Facebook as well as YouTube, you really have to learn the algorithm. So. Okay, so let's see. G say, what advice do you have for new YouTubers that are discouraged by critique or critics?
Don't
So, what are advice
don't
do you
read their
have?
comments. I know that it kind of ties down to our current society. Like, I know you guys feel this, especially many of the other, YouTubers who were just starting up, where you get this really good idea and you create this video, you put a lot of hard work and time into it, and you kind of share it, in all forms or avenues where you think people will come and watch it. But then you look at your video and you see like 6 views, and you're like, what the heck? Like, I put all this time and hard work into it, and then you feel discouraged. You feel like I just wasted my time. Like, no one's gonna ever watch me. And then this ties back to what I was talking about earlier, where your biggest enemy is yourself, and that's self-doubt. By nature, I think it's very, very easy to be negative. It's very easy to give up and to say, you know what, no one's gonna ever watch me anyways. So what's the point of me continuing? But if you keep at it, like I said, back to my philosophy of one subscriber at a time. If you keep focus on that and you avoid all the negativity, then it'll yield better success, because success is just repetition and motion, and we do the same thing again and again, and then you create a pattern, and you see things that work and you continue to emulate it, and you see things that don't work and you avoid it, and that's really it. Like, so I know that you guys want to see your views go up. You guys want to see the subscribers base increase. You want to see a bunch of thumbs up on your video, but it's not going to happen immediately. And I think the problem with that is that we're in a society where people want that instant gratification and that instant going viral, but it's not going to happen that way. And many of the YouTubers and the channels that you see online now, that you look at their start date. They started long ago, and they just continued, working on their craft, and that's why they are where they are now. Of course, there are some channels where they just luck out. But, would you rather be a channel where you're following a fad and a trend and you're gaining like millions and millions of views, and then the fad dies and then you die along with it? Or would you rather be genuine and be small but be strong, and continue to thrive over the changing times? And I think it's more beneficial to be a small YouTuber and have a knitted, supported group. Because, like, for example, back when I was like less than 1,000 subscribers, I had about 40 people who constantly watched my videos, and they constantly always commented, and they constantly always sent me direct emails and said, hey, I really like your video. I think you should do this. Hey, I think you should do that. Or, hey, you might have missed on that. And so I took a lot of the criticism too, but I also felt like I was responsible for these 40 people. So I don't know. It ultimately depends on what you want out of it. And if you're just chasing the money, then you could shoot for, hot topic stuff. But if you want that genuine growth, I think it's better to have that engagement, have people actually like you. Like, people don't really follow you necessarily for your content. That's what draws them in. They tend to stay because of who you are and who you are as a person and what you offer. So just don't be discouraged.
Sounds good, guys. Okay. Lane just wrote something. I'll read this and then we'll leave it. We'll end it. Okay. Lane say, I create relationship advice videos for men, but 90% of viewers who actually message me regarding their relationship issues are Hmong women. Haha. Laugh out loud. Oh, I'm scared of giving advice to the woman and have their husband hunt me down. Lane, I think we will talk on when we interview you, if you agree to do an interview with us. So please check your message. I already messaged you. So okay, well, Tom, I think we're gonna end like that. You know, this is such a fun interview that I have with you tonight, and with uh, all the guys like G and Lang and Jaha and everyone coming in and commenting. You know, I feel like we're just having a conversation versus just doing an interview. So again, thank you so much. Yeah, so G say please do link. Okay. Yeah, so thank you, you guys.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
watching.
for being here with us, for staying with us throughout the whole video. Yes, and if you haven't shared this video, please help share, okay? Help share. It will help Tom a lot because we want his channel to grow, okay? That's why we're doing this. At the same time, we want other people who may need his help that could if you share this, maybe they can reach out to Tom and Tom can help them. And also in the future, when we do your interview, you know, hopefully Tom will still stay with us and he can help share
Yeah,
this too,
definitely.
okay? So thank you so much, guys. You guys have
Thank
a good
you.
night. Thanks, Tom.